undocumented migrant from Venezuela. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and White House border czar Tom Homan faced some questions today after leaving the White House, where President Trump had just announced using the U.S. military facility in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba as a detention facility for up to 30,000 migrants. Tom Homan told reporters who will run the facility, also known as Gitmo.
ICE has the highest detention standards in the industry. You can't find another state, federal, local facility has higher detention standards than ICE. So every facility, including Gitmo.
Trump administration officials say only the worst of the migrants will be sent to Gitmo. Mixed reaction among senators on Capitol Hill today. Illinois Senator Democrat Dick Durbin on GOP support of the idea.
Most of them will say anything President Trump says is a good idea is a good idea.
The American dream has become unattainable, and government is the problem.
There's a renewed bipartisan effort to get more homes built in Arizona after a similar plan was vetoed by Governor Hobbs last year.
The so-called Starter Home Act is once again being looked at in the Republican-led Arizona legislature. It has bipartisan support, and State Rep Leo Biasucci explains it stops cities from requiring amenities that can drive up housing costs, such as garages.
They should be able to choose what kind of home they want to build. They should be able to choose if they want shingle roof, if they want a picket fence and not a brick wall. And right now what's happening, cities are actually dictating what you can and cannot use on your home.
It also bars cities from setting required design elements and allows more homes to be built on smaller properties. The bill includes language to ensure fire and safety codes are still followed. Ballin Overstoles, KTAR News.
Fans of the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles are booking their flights and hotel rooms in advance of Super Bowl 59. ABC's Jim Ryan says preparations are well underway in the host city.
After the truck ramming attack that claimed 14 lives in the French Quarter early New Year's Day, security is a major concern for New Orleans. Traffic barriers are going up and uniform and plainclothes officers will saturate the city. Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick.
We're going to have an incredible Super Bowl, followed by Mardi Gras.
Fat Tuesday comes less than a month after the Super Bowl.
Time to check on traffic. Let's go to John Roller live in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right, thank you very much, Becky Lynn. Still seeing some slowing north of the stack. That's due to an earlier crash right near McDowell, just north of the stack. And now we have tow trucks on the scene, so partially blocking the right lane. So lean to the left to get around that, and that is causing some slowing on the eastbound 10 transitioning to the northbound I-17. Let's go over to the 51. Had an earlier crash northbound right near Camelback Highland there. And that's causing some residual slowing all the way back to the mini stack. And, of course, we have our afternoon slowing on the westbound Loop 202 Red Mountain Freeway. Now back to 40th Street coming in through the mini stack. You've got slowing all the way out to 75th Avenue heading westbound on the I-10. Working crashes at 7th Avenue and Buckeye. Warner and Almost School Road have a crash in Chandler. Glendale, we're working a serious car pedestrian crash. Glendale Avenue just west of 43rd Avenue and Bell Road and Dysart. You've got a crash there as well. Traffic is brought to you by Asset Preservation Wealth and Tax. Set yourself up for retirement success. Schedule your free portfolio review at AssetPreservationWealth.com and get the insights you need today. John Roller, KTAR News.
Cloudy and 43 tonight, sunny and 64 on Thursday. And right now in Apache Junction, it's 52. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. With a replace or repair, call Howard Air. I'm Becky Lynn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Outspoken with Bruce and Gatos presents The War Room, a political symposium cutting through the noise from the Arizona State Capitol to Washington, D.C. The War Room starts now.
That's right. 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, we go inside the War Room. So, let's see who we got. Obviously, Bruce. We've got Gatos. We've got the president and CEO of High Ground. Chuck Coughlin is back in the seat. Hello, Chuck.
Here, brother. Here with my friends in the symposium.
All right. I like it. Democratic strategist Tony Connie is back on the show. Tony, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm happy to be here.
And we got former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, ran for the Senate. I voted for you.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote.
I wasn't voting for. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't going the other way on that one.
I voted for myself too.
Well, you should.
Never would have understood that.
All right, so let's get into it. Goodness, it's just a whirlwind. I mean, every day you wake up over the last 2 weeks, Trump is doing something different. So why don't we start with immigration raids? I think one of the interesting things is that Governor Katie Hobbs says she would not help the Trump administration with immigration raids. I'm going to start with the sheriff. You were still the sheriff. Are you helping Trump with the immigration raids? And if so, how do you do it?
Yeah, for sure. Look, when I heard her say that, I couldn't do it because I'm not the sheriff now, but I would have gotten right on social media and said, we appreciate the governor's concern, but she's not in law enforcement. She may be able to dictate what the state troopers do, but on a local and a sheriff level, county level, we dictate what we're going to do on that. And look, there are people that came into this country illegally, whether you find it politically not your cup of tea. They broke the law when they came into this country illegally. Now, what they're going after, the criminals and the people that the judges have determined don't belong here. They don't have a legitimate asylum claim. So I think that Governor Hobbs should be a little bit more tempered and say, look, we're going to support them and those people. Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen that, but she doesn't speak for law enforcement.
Can I help understand a little bit, because you were sheriff up until recently, I would say. What did you, as sheriff, or your department do to go after these people? I mean, I assume you were doing it on some level already.
So we don't have any, up until this last law that was passed that I'm sure will get challenged, there was no state law that allowed us to go out and actually arrest people for being in the country illegally. Where we helped was we were a 287G jail, which means that we worked with ICE. We were one of the only ones in the state. And what that meant is if you committed a crime in this state...
Another crime other than being here illegally.
DUI, assault, murder, any of those. We would then process you and figure out you're not in the country legally. We would notify ICE, and ICE would then put a detainer. Under the previous Trump administration, they deported majority of those. They came and got them. Under this Biden administration, they weren't picking anybody up. And then what we're forced to do is put them back out onto the street.
You can only hold them for a period of time.
And then the other thing we would do is we would work in conjunction with Border Patrol with our helicopters. We were out there, but we always had to have some contingency of Border Patrol with us to be able to do that. Right. And even then, we would drop them off and we would wait and just assist them in that. So
I don't mean to beat up. I got a lot of questions for you. Are you in favor? I haven't heard anybody say we shouldn't deport criminals. I haven't heard that argument yet. Maybe somebody's making it. I haven't heard it. Are you in favor of going after people just because they're here illegally, just grabbing them, show me your papers, are you here? If not, we're going to kick you out?
Look, I don't think that's... I think that the media wants to push it to where that's happening. The reality is the list is so long of people that are criminals in this country.
The bad guys already.
The bad guys already. People that have committed crimes in our country that were wanted before they came back, or they've committed crimes now. I mean, there's some bad people out there, and that list is very long.
Yeah.
And then there's another 1 million plus people, and that list is growing every day of people that the judges have said, you can't be here. So we got a lot of lists of people to go through before you're ever going to get to that point.
Okay.
Is there going to be some collateral pickups like, hey, we're looking for Chuck, and we find 3 more people? You have to. You cannot wave a wand and say, we're not going to take, you broke the law. That has to carry some weight. If not, we're a lawless society.
Yeah.
We're inside the war room. That is the voice of former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. We've got Democratic strategist Tony Connie and the president and CEO of High Ground, Chuck Coughlin. And we're talking about Trump's immigration raids. Okay, so what do you guys think of the televised raids? I said it the other day. It's like the show Cops. Except it's ICE.
It's just missing the bad boys.
Well, you know me, I don't like to televise anything.
I was going to say, Sheriff Lamb.
Chuck, let's start with you, Chuck. Dr. Phil is out there, and he's watching some of these people get arrested, and he's on television, and it's showing the American people, we're going after the bad guys. Is it a good idea?
Trump. It's Trump.
It's Trump.
Whether it's a good idea or not, it's Trump, and it's theater. And he's going to run those numbers until, as the sheriff just said, you start arresting people who are working, who are here, or separating families, or doing something like that. When you run into that hurdle, that's going to start to spin the other way.
Yeah.
I don't think, I agree with him entirely, that if you're here illegally, and I've seen them deporting people to Argentina and Brazil, and as we saw, Peru and some of these other places, I imagine, and they're coming out of Chicago. They're doing a bunch of these raids in Chicago, which has this high intensity of gang and cartel activity. So I imagine there's a lot of intelligence going on, way above my pay grade, that they're wrapping up these people and rolling them out.
So,
the minute they hit a problem, that's going to be a problem.
Tony, how worried are you that they'll stop going after the criminals who are, you know, a rapist or somebody battered a woman or, you know, you've robbed a store? How worried are you, and how worried is the left that they're going to go and they're going to take grandma out of a house?
Yeah, I'm worried about it.
You are?
Yeah, I am worried about it. I mean, I think part of it is because since it's being televised, there is this fear that is being passed on to families and to people about this, because you know that it's a legitimate risk. It's happened before. It could happen again. I think that one of the problems I have with the way they're doing this, you know, where they're picking 3 cities, I think, and then they're going to focus on those 3 cities, and it's basically saying, here's the TV schedule for this week, is that if there isn't stuff, if they don't get good stuff, like, they have to produce for the cameras now.
Yeah.
They're doing it for the cameras. And so I do think that, look, I was joking with the sheriff and Chuck before the show. I wish that Biden would have televised some of the things that he accomplished in the last administration. I think we've been in a different situation.
It would have been a short show.
I knew you were ready for it. When I said it, but you know,
you underhanded that one.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, look, we lost, right? We lost.
Couple
but the point
water
is,
projects. There were things that happened.
there's a lot of good infrastructure stuff that Trump is very much going to take credit for over the next couple of months. But the point being, I understand this is the way governance works in America right now, is that you're governing by TV and social media, and you know.
Can I just
please?
Because I was with Dr. Phil and Tom Homan. We have a mandate. There's a mandate from the American people that says we want to fix the border issue. They also understand that there's a very fine balance of that you could easily lose the trust of the people. So I think that they're televising a lot of this is, A, to send a message like, hey, if you're in the country legally, you can get deported. And everybody should be worried. If I crossed over, I've lived in plenty of other countries. If I lived in that country and knew I was there illegally, you better believe I'd sleep with one eye open. And they should. They broke the law when they came to the country.
But you have to change the law in order to change the immigration system. And my concern right now is we are now back into this executive order mantra. As we remember, Obama did DACA with, and I said McCain at the time, you have to get this done in the law. He goes, Obama screwed it up because he made it an executive order. We're not going to touch it now. And I go, you have to do this. Now what Trump is doing is making political crises out of all this. And the question I have is, where do our colleagues, the Democrats, end up lining up if that immigration bill, which I had hoped would pass,
I was in favor,
would come back? Because we need laws.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important point, is that Trump killed that immigration bill, the one that Sinema negotiated with Republicans. And one of the things that it would have done is it would have helped make the list that you're talking about
best bill
bigger,
we'll
because
ever get.
More people would have been able to go through the actual system.
Right.
You know,
and
because
more
there's a huge
judges,
backlog.
more change of the asylum laws that I think are being used improperly.
Title 8 is the law that says you can't come into the country illegally. I get it. I support
Asylum.
it. I agree.
You got to fix asylum.
Immigration,
Fix
Congress,
asylum.
Senate has to fix that piece of it.
Right. Yeah.
But right now, the law is Title 8, and it says you can't come into
There's
the
just
country.
value for the Republican Party, who have blocked a lot of these immigration reforms, right? And then when they finally had this chance, that now you can make a crisis out of all this. And so, like, I hope we pass an immigration bill.
Amen.
Why not HR 2?
Let's get it, because, well, we'll go into it.
Let's
One thing at a time. On HR 2.
Let's pause it there. We're inside the war room. Former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. We've got Democratic strategist Tony Connie, and there's Chuck Coughlin. When we come back, Trump says immigration authorities can arrest people at churches and schools. Should ICE be going into churches and schools? That's coming up next on the War Room.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Life Changer Loan real quick. A Life Changer loan is different than a traditional mortgage. A Life Changer loan lets you do your banking inside your mortgage, which means you can pay it off in just a few short years, and it doesn't require you changing all of your spending habits. A Life Changer loan could be the last piece of financing you'll ever need for anything. For example, you could buy new properties without needing additional mortgages. You could do home improvements without having to borrow money. You could get a new car without a need to finance. And you could even pay for college tuition without having to borrow from someone else. You could borrow from yourself. Again, do your banking inside your mortgage. Have 24/7 access to your equity. If you've got good credit, you're good with money, well, then don't let the bank control your finances. you take control with a Life Changer loan. Check them out online, lifechangerloan.com. That's lifechangerloan.com. It's not magic, it's just math.
KTAR News Flash.
5:16. I'm Becky Lynn. Here's what you need to know right now. Governor Katie Hobbs has selected Judge Maria Elena Cruz as Arizona's newest Supreme Court justice. Cruz explains how the selection is a historic one.
113 years and 49 justices later, I will be only the sixth woman to serve in this position. I'll be the first Latina and the first person of African descent. For many, this day is long overdue, and so today we celebrate.
The governor says she chose Cruz because of her love for her community and her clear commitment to equal and impartial justice. You'll be able to hear more from Justice Cruz when she joins Arizona's Morning News tomorrow morning at 6:45. All of our top stories are just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app. Checking on traffic now. It's John Roller in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Becky Lynn, right now only one crash on a main line. It's still that crash on the northbound I-17 right near McDowell, but happy to report that is in the clearing stages, but you will have slowing all the way up to Glendale Avenue. Then again, you'll reload northbound 17 right at Thunderbird. Had reports of a crash there. Not seeing a lot of heavy slowing. Also, southbound 101 over in the East Valley, the Pima Freeway slowing starting at Via de Ventura all the way down to the 202. Got a new crash coming in 7th Avenue and Buckeye, a crash in Chandler, Warner, and Alma School, and also a crash at 75th Avenue in Orangewood. That's the half-miler between Glendale and Northern. Traffic is brought to you by the Beatitudes Campus. Check out our bold and bright campus by attending an upcoming event or take a private tour. Go to beatitudescampus.com. John Roller, KTAR News. Now back to the War Room with Bruce and Gatos.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
Here we are. Pretty cool. Got a great group of folks inside the War Room today. Former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, Democratic strategist Tony Connie, and the president and CEO of High Ground Consulting. Political insider. Wonkiness. He's the guy I go to to explain everything.
Yeah.
Chuck Coughlin.
Yeah. Roundly well hated.
Yes,
man.
yeah. That's what it takes to do that
is,
job,
man.
right? So
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, Gatos, you gave us a bit of a heads up as to where we're going in this one, and it has to do with an order that was rescinded and a concern that I think a lot of people have, even people who might be very in favor of, quote, getting rid of the criminals that are here illegally. Does that extend to third grade and churches?
Yeah, I'd like to know why would we go into a school and remove a child? So immigration authorities can now enter schools, healthcare facilities, like a hospital, places of worship to conduct arrests. I don't know if this is a stupid question, but I'm interested in it, so I'm going to ask it. Why would ICE go in and take a third grader out of a classroom? And are we going to see that, guys?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're taking third graders out.
What do you think?
So
Ninth graders?
I was a gang and drug detective for a long time, and the majority of the gang members we dealt with were in this 14 to 17-year-old range.
Okay.
Very violent
High schoolers.
criminals. Look, when we arrested one of the guys from the Gilbert Goons, we arrested him in his school. Why? Because that is a very controlled atmosphere where it's safe for everybody that's arresting them. I get it. The optics look bad, but there's nothing in the law that says you can't arrest somebody at a church or a school. It's not it's not where we're looking to arrest people, but what we're always looking to do is reduce harm to anybody else or to ourselves or to the subject we're looking for. So these are going to be areas that people are going to try to hide in. Kids, gang members, people that are part of Tren de Aragua or other violent gangs, oftentimes they're going to be found in schools. So I'm okay with it as long as they're doing it within the law.
Chuck Coughlin.
I remember when Arpaio, so I was working for Scott Smith, the mayor of Mesa, and Arpaio did a raid on City Hall in Mesa on the cleaning crews that were cleaning the city of Mesa.
Come on!
And rolled them up. And I'm like, oh, boy.
And you arrested them.
Oh, yeah. And the mayor was beside himself, and I said, calm down. Let's go have a meeting with Joe.
Yeah.
Have a conversation. Don't go rolling out in a press conference. Because, I realized how toxic the whole situation was. He did. Took his city manager down there. City manager asked for Joe's autograph at the end of the meeting, and the mayor's looking at him like, what'd you do? Don't do that.
Oh, boy.
But there is an optic to it. I think that people are.
Well, I'm curious to know what Tom Horn thinks. Tom Horn's against it. The superintendent of public instruction.
He did say that,
right?
didn't
I
he?
mean, the guy.
He didn't
he's
want
a
ice in the
conservative
schools.
Republican.
I want to say is something along those lines.
The risk being that it might make some people afraid to go to school, and that it's going to make people not go to school. And his goal is to get people in a classroom, and that is that's
That's
the
a real
concern.
thing.
That's why he's opposed to it. That's the reason why it makes me uncomfortable as well. If there is a dangerous person in a school, I imagine it's a challenge to decide whether or not you're going to go and get them in the school or whether you want to get them afterwards. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of, I don't know what the standard is.
I've been the victim of people dictating the narrative, though. Well, you might go to the school one time, and they're like, these guys are arresting people at schools.
Okay.
So, I want to know how many times have they done it? Or are we blowing something out of proportion when the majority of these people are being caught in areas
But
not
you acknowledge it is a fear factor with students and families that I'm not going to send my kid to school, which is the last thing we really want them to do. We want them to go to school.
Whether they're here legally or their parents aren't or whatever it might be. I mean, there's a concern.
Even when we arrested the kid that was part of the Gilbert Goons at the school, we had to... There's some level of damage control that has to be done within school. We get it. And I don't think that's the ideal place that they want to go for. No. But if the only place I can find you is at school, you better believe I'm going to send my guys over to find you.
Along those lines, does it make your job harder, Sheriff Lamb, for law enforcement, if a portion of the community doesn't trust you to dial 911 when somebody steals the car or there's an assault or whatever because they're worried that law enforcement officer, the first thing they're going to ask is, are you in the country illegally, as opposed to where was the crime?
I like to clarify that because I think that the fear is not us. The fear is they know they're in the country illegally.
Agreed.
Right? So it's not that what we've done, it's that they are in the country illegally and they know they broke the law. And there's a potential risk that if they call us that we might deport them. It doesn't really happen. That's not, for that matter, ICE and Border Patrol wouldn't even come and pick those people up for the most part. They may now. But
the state law now makes it so that you would be allowed to.
The state law would make it, and we can't go out of our way. The state law is very, very narrow in what we can do. It really relates to border. Right. But in those cases, I have to just really clarify that, yes, it does. They do have this, there's a percentage of your population, if they're here illegally, are going to have naturally that fear. But let's really look at the root of the fear. The root of the fear is they came to this country illegally.
But this is why we need a law. I mean,
you think?
All of this.
You think we could clear this up?
It gets lost. All the fear, all the intimidation, all the he has to do his job. Everybody wants people to do their job and have a secure environment, but you can't do that until you fix our damn laws.
And we're talking about, and this executive order wasn't limited to only violent criminals. They said that they can go for anybody into the school. So that's a thing to bring up.
Tell you what, the War Room rolls on. And coming up next, we're going to do a quick check of the headlines. We'll talk about Trump's federal aid freeze and the chaos it created yesterday. I think that might be a nice way to put it. And are people already souring on some of the early moves? We'll talk about it with our War Room panel coming up next right here, Outspoken on KTAR.
There's a new administration in charge at the White House.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement says agents have made more than 1,000 arrests in the past 24 hours. In Baltimore, ICE apprehending 12 people, knocking on doors and leading detainees to cars. In Tallahassee, 12 people believed to be in the country illegally, handcuffed and detained by Homeland Security and state troopers. And near Miami, 13 Chinese migrants were apprehended, patted down, and arrested.
We're covering the first 100 days of President Trump's second term on Arizona's news station, KTAR News 92.3, the KTAR News app, and KTAR.com.
Is your AC so old it deserves a retirement party? Paul Calvese here, because day and night, air conditioning, heating, and plumbing, they're searching for the oldest AC in the valley. The winner gets a brand new high-efficiency air conditioner with an air purifier. Enter by texting DAY to 602-649-1889. Text DAY to 602-649-1889. Conditions apply. See official contest rules. Valid entry dates January 13th through February 9th, 2025.
Hey, how's your money situation? Are you ready for retirement?
I wish I could retire.
Well, if you want to know what the pros are doing to make wealth multiply and retire like royalty, then you need to listen to this show. The Parker Holland Show with Parker Holland. Get your money right and tune in every weekend, Sundays at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. on KTAR News.
So what makes a great car radio show? To start with, a host who knows his stuff. Check. We've got Matt Allen, the KTAR car guy, who's been fixing cars for nearly 30 years. Lots to talk about. Check. High gas prices, maybe getting a second opinion on that upcoming repair, or help in finding the right used car. That means the only thing missing is you. And that's easy to fix. We're on every Saturday morning at 11 here on 92.3 KTAR. Or check us out anytime, day or night, at bumpertobumperradio.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Someone robbing your home is a scary idea, and not being prepared for it's even worse. And there's an easy way to prepare. It's Bulldog security screens. They protect like a fortress. There's great things about this. Custom measured for your home. They look perfect on the outside of your home. They don't obstruct your views. It is beautiful, but more than anything else, they protect like a fortress. They invited me to try to break in, and I tried sliding doors, regular front doors, French doors, windows, and I wasn't able to break in. I used everything from a baseball bat to a bowling ball and even a sledgehammer. The only thing that broke was the baseball bat. I was not able to break in. That is real home protection. Give yourself peace of mind. Leave your doors and windows wide open in this perfect weather with real home protection from Bulldog Security Screens, the people I believe in and trust. Go to BulldogSecurityScreens.com. That's BulldogSecurityScreens.com. Insist on the Bulldog, because Bulldog Security Screens, they're tough.
Everything's a little better when it's super. Heroes, markets, sized, and of course, checks. A super check gives you an in-depth review of your current insurance coverage with a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent, no matter who your insurance provider is. That's super cool. Talk to a Farm Bureau agent to make sure you're properly covered at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Tired of fighting for your store's last bottle of water or lugging hundreds of bottles of water each year from the store to the car to the fridge to the recycling? For less than $1 a day from Parker & Sons, you can have an unlimited supply of bottle quality water right at your tap. Drinking water keeps you healthier, aids in weight loss, keeps skin hydrated, and flushes your body of toxins. Call Parker for your free estimate on a reverse osmosis system at 602-2-REPAIR or visit parkerandsons.com.
KTAR News now.
Coming up on 5:31. Good afternoon. I'm Becky Lynn. The White House walking back its directive to pause federal funding. A federal judge temporarily had blocked it Tuesday.
The White House says President Trump's executive orders calling for an end to federal spending that does not align with his policy priorities still stand. But a new memo from the White House budget director rescinds a sweeping directive that would freeze potentially trillions of dollars in federal assistance, loans, and grants. What's unclear is how the president will carry out those executive orders and whether any federal funding would be paused while the administration conducts a review of programs. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Up to 30,000 undocumented migrants could soon find themselves housed at Guantanamo Bay following a new order from President Trump. The U.S. naval base in Cuba has previously housed refugees from a number of countries. It's perhaps best known as a prison for terrorists in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. The president says the move will immediately double the capacity to hold migrants arrested by federal authorities. Arizona is ready and willing to work with the Trump administration on securing the southern border, so says Governor Katie Hobbs, who wants to hear more from the White House.
I will say it's been more than a little frustrating as a border state governor who has taken a lot of action to help keep our border safe and secure, that we're not getting a lot of information and things are being announced without talking to us first.
The governor points to the sending of military units to the border without any conversation taking place between the administration and the state. Flashing lights could be a big problem for cars that employ a certain technology.
Specialized driver assistance systems can be confused by flashing lights like those seen on emergency vehicles. That, according to a new study from Ben-Gurion University and Fujitsu Limited, which observed wild fluctuations in a system's confidence level when shown emergency lights, something they've dubbed epileptic car. The systems in question use radar, cameras, and other methods to allow cars to automatically speed up and slow down with traffic and keep vehicles centered in a lane. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
The study also found this problem likely played a role in recent incidents where Teslas crashed into emergency vehicles. Let's check on the vehicles right now heading down the road. Here's John Roller in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right, thank you very much, Becky Lynn. Not too bad right now. We're actually bouncing back from that earlier crash on the northbound I-17 right near McDowell. That has cleared away, so good news there. Couple of spots of slowing on the northbound Grand Avenue heading out of the downtown area, right at 51st Avenue and Bethany Home Road. You've got some slowing. Then up ahead, slowing on the northbound Grand Avenue right at 59th Avenue. Also working a crash 7th Avenue and Buckeye, Warner and Alma School Road, seeing heavy restrictions around that intersection. Also a car pedestrian crash Glendale west of 43rd Avenue, and a crash in Surprise, Bell Road and Dysart. John Roller, KTAR News.
Cloudy skies tonight, 43. No more rain in our forecast for the next week. 64 the high tomorrow, up to 75 by Saturday. Right now it's 55 in Levine. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Becky Lynn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
All right, we got the second half of the War Room. Bruce and Gatos, along with former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, Democratic strategist Tony Connie. We've got the president and CEO of High Ground, Chuck Coughlin. First half of the War Room, a lot of immigration, border, the raids, ICE. Should they be allowed to go into churches and schools? There's a new Reuters poll, and it talks about 45% of Americans approve Trump's performance so far. 46% disapprove. Is it too much of a whirlwind that's going on right now, or is this exactly what Trump promised? It's going to be fast-paced. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be in your face. But are Americans like, we love this? Or are they like, I'm exhausted?
It's reality TV.
I'm exhausted.
It's what he does. I mean, this is what he's going to fill us with until he runs out of gas, and it's going to continue to happen until some adult enters the room and says, okay, we got to pass a law. We actually have to do something instead of acting like third graders and just
I don't see
throwing
any
stuff.
What's the win in that?
Whoa. It will happen. It will happen. When
in our lifetime?
Elon Musk has invested so much money in this Doge thing, they will come out with a plan. And I'm hoping that there will be an immigration plan in there someplace too. When this, when he's feeding his narrative. That's what he's doing right now, and we're all buying it. I mean, we're chomping at the bit and reacting to it.
We're waking up. We're seeing it.
Oh my God!
We're either
It's
outraged
exhausting.
or in love with them.
Right. Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, sometimes it gets overturned. That's what happened just yesterday. I guess the president tried to push the pause button on trillions of dollars on federal aid programs, Medicaid, Meals on Wheels, the VA, food stamps, and everybody went crazy. And they said, wait a second. I mean, from our governor to our AG, who's now suing him again. There were Republican states. There were Democratic states. They're like, wait a second.
Chambers of Commerce.
This is crazy.
Businesses.
There were individuals who were maybe a part of like medical research for cancer or whatever that they were told their treatments had to stop. Because, so like this is about real people. We call it a freeze. But really what it was is he said, maybe they didn't know how widespread it was going to be. But it doesn't matter. There was real consequences to this.
So why'd he do it? Did he do it because he wants to look at the books and say we've got all this spending that is absolutely insane, or I can do whatever I want and I can create chaos?
A little of both. Can it be both?
Yes, it can be both. And it creates a lane for Elon. This is what it creates, a lane for Elon to go forward.
Explain that.
Well, he's got all these tech executives from Silicon Valley and around the world that he put NASA out of business. And so he's using those same. He took over Twitter and cut Twitter's employment population by a third. And so he's going to use that.
And it's a better product now.
Yeah, and he's going to use that skill set and do a thorough review.
Okay.
And I would expect that's where the rubber's going to hit.
There's another way to say it, which is that they're cutting money from vulnerable people who rely on this money in order to benefit people like Elon Musk. Those are the ones who are going to be benefiting from these kinds of cuts. And so, look, there are things that probably should be cut. This isn't the way to do it. You don't tell somebody who's on Medicaid that they are no longer able to get the treatment that they need.
Well, the VA website didn't work for a while.
And look, I'm not a legislator, and so the budget stuff and all that, I mean, I've dealt with a budget as a sheriff, and I know what that is about. But for me as an American, we all agree there is a tremendous amount of government waste. We're sending $50 million over here to condoms for people in Iran. I mean, there's one thing after another.
That's not true, by the way. We'll argue it later. That's okay.
But I'm just throwing out examples. I mean, whether that one's true or not, we know there's an exorbitant 100%. Amount of waste, and it's not under the
Pentagon spending. I mean, we do know that. But
how do you control it if you don't say, "Hey, let me put a stop on this"?
That's the hard work of governing. Yeah. That is the hard work of governing, not issuing an executive order and seeing where the cards end up at the end of the day.
And again, just to echo what you say, I agree 100% that the federal government is bloated and it is rife with what we call it again, waste, fraud, and abuse. Isn't that the great terminology? Where I differ from Trump is that he only wants to look at small areas, which, by the way, aren't the areas that are full of waste, fraud, and abuse.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Again, being the guy in here that thinks we should have a balanced budget, I'd wake up and go, everybody gets a 20% haircut tomorrow. Everybody, the Pentagon to Health and Human Services. You're going to live
lose
within
your
your means.
job as an elected official.
But the point being is we refuse to deal with the issues where the money really is getting wasted.
These budgets are approved by Congress, signed by a president.
Yeah.
And there's not been a budget. I mean, a budget that passed with Republican votes and Democratic votes. Like that's.
Well, I think that the government has gotten too far into areas they shouldn't be. You know, if you look down at the preamble of the Constitution, I get it. This is a very simple way of looking at it, but it defined clearly what the role of government would be. And we far exceeded that. You know, really defense is their primary thing, and there's waste there and spending there. And I know Chuck's going to bring up a much more educated view on this. I told you I'm coming at it from a guy who pays taxes who says, I don't like where you're spending the money. And I think most Americans listening to your show right now are going to say the same thing.
The problem is they don't all agree on what
I think there's a lot of Americans who agree with that, and then they're like, what do you mean, Grandma? You're not able to get this treatment? Because they don't know that this money is coming
Congress
in from federal
is
government.
Not working.
Hasn't worked in a long time.
There is no regular.
Part of the reason why the televised Trump stuff is important for him because people know that government isn't working, and so Trump showing
Congress
these
isn't
things,
working because they cannot
he's
pass
exposing
budgets and they cannot get a regular order process of an appropriation bill.
So if you have a Republican president,
what they-
Republican House,
Senate,
Republican
House,
Senate,
there we
you should
go.
be able to pass a budget, right?
There you go. There you go.
You'd think so.
You would think.
You'd think you'd want to do the hard work and the lifting of creating that order.
I know enough about politics to know that may not be true.
Hey, they were able to actually pick a speaker this time, so that's good. Maybe they're working on it. Maybe Republicans are getting better. They should
like some of the talk yesterday, I think, from our mayor in Phoenix was like, hey, these are millions of dollars that goes out of the fire department. This is millions of dollars
they're
that's not
always
going to be
gonna
paid
take that narrative.
to the police officers. Like it would have taken money out of your budget in Pinal County, right?
No, it would have
You
taken.
don't think so?
No, it affected HIDA.
Okay.
It's going to affect your federal law enforcement grants that we use, like Stone Garden, those types of things.
But our Attorney General Chris Mays said
But how
yesterday.
long did he freeze it? Like a day? And
Yes.
Well, I don't even know if it officially went into
because of the
effect.
reaction. The reaction,
right?
Because it was illegal,
right? And so, if there wasn't a reaction, how long would it
to say
take?
he's playing chess and checkers. I mean, look. Going high, watch them buy. Going low, watch them go. If you never address it, you're never going to bring it to the table. And I think in a way, this was a way to bring this to the surface that we got a lot of problems we need to fix.
So he knew it was going to get shut. He knew the courts were going to shoot it down.
It's patently illegal.
But he wanted to do it anyway to put people.
those courts are corrupt.
This
so.
was fumbly. This didn't seem clean.
You think they
like
fumbled
that.
it? It wasn't that
Yes.
he did it on purpose and he knew.
I think that
Okay.
they knew what they were doing, but they thought they would, they wouldn't get stopped
Okay.
and it wouldn't be as
All right.
controversial. I don't think this is some big.
I think they thought they'd get a couple weeks.
We're here inside the war room with an amazing panel. That voice was Tony Connie. We've of course got Chuck Coughlin, Sheriff Mark Lamb with us, and coming up next, the race for governor in 2026 is on. Wait, maybe we've got a candidate in the room. I'm just saying, all right?
Yep,
We're going to be talking.
Yeah, I second that.
It's not me.
We'll be talking about that.
I'm not
and,
doing it either, so it must be
All right.
it must be the sheriff.
We'll have to figure out exactly what's going on, but already they're lining up. It's coming up next for Outspoken here on KTAR.
Hey, a couple more days, you got to call the Arizona Painting Company. So it's the 29th of January. You got to get that 25% off. It goes away February 1st. So it is 2025. The Arizona Painting Company wants to celebrate by giving you 25% off, and only in January. Here's how it works, okay? You only have a few days to call them and get grandfathered in. You call the Arizona Painting Company, you tell them Gato sent you. Then you say, listen, I'm really interested in this 25%. And they say, great, we're going to schedule a free estimate with you. They'll come out, they'll walk your property, they'll look at your inside, everything, whatever you want, interior, exterior paint. And you get that 25% off. The phone call has to be made in January. Obviously, they're not painting your house in January. There's no time. Pick the date. Pick the month. But when you call them in January and you ask for that 25% off, they're going to lock it in for you. Then go get your house painted in May or June or whenever you want. Here's how you get the 25% off. Real simple. Text the word paint to 620-620. I will send you that 25% off. January only from the Arizona Painting Company.
A new diamond era begins. Desert Diamond Casino White Tanks is now open. An atmosphere sparkling with excitement and top names like the legendary Morton's Steakhouse and signature Starbucks coffee. Best of all, this stunning new destination is right at Loop 303 and Northern Parkway. So come and live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino.
An enterprise of the Tohono O'odham Nation.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin.
Terrific. Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare. Wow.
With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Creative Environments Design, Pool, Spa, and Landscape. 75th anniversary this year. #1 by ranking Arizona in landscape design, build, and pool season is right around the corner. They've got some great ideas at creativeenvironments.com, the new pool trends that are happening. Get ready for pool season. When you're ready to cool off, have a beautiful space to do it in and one that will be the envy of the neighborhood. Go to creativeenvironments.com. Do it right now. You're going to love these guys. creativeenvironments.com.
KTAR News Flash.
It's 5:45. I'm Becky Lynn. Here's what you need to know right now. Phoenix just missed out on breaking the record for the most days in a row with no measurable rain. That record was 160, and that was set in 1972. Isaac Smith with the National Weather Service here in Phoenix says this morning, 1/100th of an inch was recorded at Sky Harbor International Airport. But he says this is pretty much it.
We could certainly manage to pick up a little more rainfall, but probably not a whole lot more than we finally have right now.
This is the first time Sky Harbor has seen any rain since August of 2024. And it did keep things a little cooler today. Our official high temperature at the airport today was only 59. All of our top stories just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app. All right, let's get you on home tonight. Here's John Roller live in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right, thank you very much, Becky Lynn. Not too much to slow your roll. The heaviest slowing I'm seeing is the northbound I-17, just north of the stack there. That's where we had that earlier crash at McDowell. It has long since cleared away, but that is the heaviest slowing. Stop and go all the way up to Glendale Avenue. Then once you get north of Glendale, you are good to go. Light slowing at Thunderbird northbound on the 17. That is, again, the only heavy slowing I'm seeing. A little bit of slowing now on the southbound 101 Price Freeway over in Tempe as folks make that transition to the eastbound US 60. Baseline and Central, we've got a crash coming in there. 43rd Avenue in McDowell. Look for a collision there. Hayden and Camelback, a crash in Scottsdale. Still working that crash in Surprise at Bell Road and Litchfield Road. John Roller, KTAR News.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Smith with Oliver Smith Jeweler, a local luxury watch and jewelry business founded by my dad, Oliver Smith. We've been serving Arizona for over 40 years, and trust has always been the foundation of what we do. Dad, after all these years in the watch and jewelry business, what keeps you coming into work every day?
It's the celebrations we get to share with our clients. We're part of their engagements, anniversaries, birthdays, all those special moments. It's an honor to be trusted with those memories.
But trust alone isn't enough. Let's talk about our value.
That's right. Value means offering top quality at the best price, never compromising. It's about hitting singles rather than always swinging for a home run. We're focused on building relationships with clients that last for generations.
Your low price equals high volume seems to be working well.
It is.
Trust our family to be part of your special moments. Visit us at the Shops at Gainey Village on Scottsdale Road and Doubletree Ranch Road, or at our new store in Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall.
Hi, it's Lisa Lund with Lund Mortgage. And did you know the average homeowner has 40 times the wealth of a renter? Owning a home isn't just about having a place to live. It's about building equity and securing your financial future. At Lund Mortgage, we make homeownership easier than you think. Since 1999, we've been helping first-time homebuyers to experienced homebuyers. We guide you every step of the way. Give us a call or go to lundmortgage.com, because the only thing that should be sky high is your equity, not your rent. For all things mortgage, go to lundmortgage.com.
Is your AC so old it deserves a retirement party? Paul Calvese here, because day and night, air conditioning, heating, and plumbing, they're searching for the oldest AC in the valley. The winner gets a brand new high-efficiency air conditioner with an air purifier. Enter by texting DAY to 602-649-1889. Text DAY to 602-649-1889. Conditions apply. See official contest rules. Valid entry dates January 13th through February 9th, 2025.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
Inside the War Room right now, former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, Democratic strategist Tony Connie, and the president and CEO of High Ground Incorporated. That's Chuck Coughlin. All right. We are, it's never too soon to start looking at the next election cycle, the 2026 cycle, where here in the state of Arizona, we will be voting on a governor. And
Sheriff Lamb, are you going to run?
Do you have a candidate in the room?
Governor.
So this is a rich man's profession, and I am not wealthy, so no, I have no intentions.
All right.
By the way,
do we have a lieutenant governor in the room? Maybe we might have a lieutenant governor in the room.
I think we've had some of the other names that have been floated in the room here, and I can tell you they are decidedly rich. I can remember that, but we know that the people are lining up. Apparently, Andy Biggs recently came out with what is it? An exploratory committee? What do you call it?
He filed paperwork to indicate an interest in running for
What the hell does that mean?
You can raise money.
You can raise money.
Okay.
I think he's actually officially filed because he made the announcement at Saturday at a meeting, and I think you're legally bound. Like you have to file once you make a public announcement.
Got it.
So Republicans aren't really interested in the office then.
Ouch.
Well,
you've got
so I have a lot of experience with our congressman. I have a
okay.
lot of experience
Yes,
with
you
our
do.
congressman because I worked for Governor Brewer when he was in the Senate and when he was president.
So we're talking Andy Biggs.
Senate.
Yes, and he. In order to work as a governor, you have to solve problems. You have to actually work at solving problems.
Like it's a real job.
And as in Governor Brewer had it, 30% of the state's budget wasn't there when she showed up. So she had to advocate for a sales tax increase, temporary sales tax increase. He was dead set against that. We got that passed. The voters of Arizona supported it. That was the first sign that Andy Biggs wasn't interested in governing, in working to solve problems. The second, more glaring one was Medicaid, the Medicaid restoration, where we had passed as a state twice to support 100% of the federal poverty level. Mm-hmm. The federal government said move that to 139%, and we'll pay for the whole thing. And we were going to get sued because we weren't providing that, because we'd frozen that population. There was no good answers other than the one Jan chose. And he was dead set against it because he is not a problem solver. He's an ideologue, and you can see that in his record as a Freedom Caucus member. That's what he does. And he hasn't done anything in Washington to reform government. I mean, if you're against Medicaid, then you'd go back to Washington and you'd say, hey, I want to run Arizona's system, which is a capitated plan in Washington, and not do the fee-for-service model that most states do that costs the government billions of dollars. So he's never done that.
Your argument is that he's not qualified to be governor.
He's right in the loaf.
Okay, I just wanted to get to the bottom of this.
He's got no substance.
The problem that you guys have as Republicans is that people can sniff when someone is not being totally genuine. And that's what's happening with Karen Taylor Robeson.
You don't think she's genuine?
Is that she has changed her position so many times. She's done this. She's gone and supported.
She got the Trump endorsement, though, didn't she?
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe she did. I mean, who knows? They say she didn't. But, and also, I don't think she's as strong of a candidate as other people do. I mean, she is a lobbyist. That's what she's doing right now. She is right now, filed paperwork, she is a lobbyist. She's a career lobbyist who's pretending like she's a government outsider. She's not. She is as inside.
She was a land use lawyer.
She's as inside as you can get, and I don't think that that's what
and her family
the
has
people
60
want. And
years
so
of
it
public
gives
service.
Andy Biggs an opportunity or somebody else to run.
So Arizona Republicans, if they have a chance to vote, are going to go far right again, get through the primary, and lose in the general.
I don't know that. I'm not willing.
Well, can
to
I
buy
ask
that.
Tony a question?
Yeah.
Do you foresee the Democrats primarying?
No, I don't. I think there's a lot of noise about that, but I don't think that.
Like I've heard the Adrian Fontes
I've been
name
wrong on this
bandied
show
about
in a big way.
Yes, he has. He's been
amazingly
wrong before.
I said Joe Biden would not step in. So write that down.
Remember that?
And then
Joe
they're like,
Biden will
do you
never
want to
step
come
down.
in next week? And I was like, yeah.
At least you're only wrong on the show. I'm wrong all the time.
But I genuinely don't think so. I don't think so.
Interesting. All right. Well, it's it. We got fodder.
And I think that has a big part to play in how this election goes.
Sure.
Is whether the Democrats decide to primary their candidate.
Absolutely.
Do they see that Hobbs may
Is
be
she
weak and not? But I think it's been 60 years since they've been able to beat a governor that was incumbent.
We're a
were
long
awesome.
way away from the end.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll be back. I mean, that's the other thing. You announce
First
now.
inning.
The reason you do this is you announce now to make people afraid to announce.
Got it.
Do
There
it
you go.
now to elbow other people out. That's what's happening, and there's probably some people who got elbowed out by this.
A great war room. Thank all of you for being here, gentlemen. Tony, Chuck, Sheriff Lamb, thank you guys. We appreciate it. We've got our check of the headlines coming up. If you missed any of the War Room, by the way, go back and listen to it on the podcast. Check of the headlines. And coming up next, will voters be okay with taking money from education to fix a baseball roof. We're talking about it next. Outspoken on KTAR.
All right, Red Mountain. All right, you got to go and check out their terrific spas all over the valley. This is what they do, and they've done it well for 30 years. They specialize in medical weight loss. They've helped over 1 million people lose weight. So go and lose weight with